Today we're going to speak about craving. Do you ever feel that you're right on the edge of controlling your behavior with pornography, but that craving comes at you almost predictably? Maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, but it's almost as if you know when it's going to roll around. And recently I've been thinking about the concept of craving in what is traditionally called addiction recovery. And I was prompted to actually put this together when one of my clients asked for clarity on the difference between urges and craving. So here's my take on it. I believe that urges are the same thing as cravings. See, your perception of this changes with your self-image as you go through the different stages of rebooting. So just a gentle reminder that within the Porn Reboot system, we first change your habits, then your lifestyle, and then your self-image. So here's an example of how your perception of what an urge or a craving is changes. Now, the objective reality is that you are experiencing a temporary desire to view pornography and masturbate to it. I think objectively, rationally, logically, all of us can agree to that. We know that this desire, logically, is not going to last forever. Even though you might feel that way, you're still going to go to bed at some point. The urge is going to go away. Now, when you are still an addict, and I'm putting this in quotes, this means that when you still have the self-image of being an addict, then your definition of craving is a little bit different, or rather, your perception of craving is different. So now your perception is that it is a powerful craving or urge which is impossible to resist. And it is also proof that you are an addict. Again, addict in quotes. So when your self-image is that of an addict, your perception is that it is a powerful craving or urge that is impossible to resist. And you take that as proof that you are an addict. But what happens when your self-image changes after rebooting? Well, the perception is now, when you experience this thing you call craving, is that it is something which I may or may not choose to do. As I think about it, or use one of the coping strategies on it, or as I stay aware while experiencing it. I'll repeat it one more time. After rebooting, your self-image changes and you view what you now know as craving as something which I may or may not choose to do. I'm going to think about it, I'm going to use a coping strategy, or I'm just going to stay aware while experiencing it, but there's no guarantee that I'm going to give into it. It's no longer impossible. So what is a craving? Craving is actively believing that using pornography is your only viable option. And the moment you consider or you know that there is another option, then logically you have exited craving and you have entered a new realm, and that is the realm of choice. Now, there are different variations of choice, and these are my definitions of those variations. It's almost as if there is a spectrum of choice from, for instance, needing something. What's needing something? Needing it is believing it's essential, but not your only option. Then we have considering it. Considering it is simply thinking about using it. And then there's wanting it. Wanting it is desiring it, but also knowing that it's not a necessity. And then we have preferring it. Preferring it is you are aware of other options, but there's a greater awareness that you choose to act out sexually. And we could keep going. There are various, what I would call shades of the spectrum of choice. But the point remains that now, because you've introduced another variable, then craving no longer exists. Craving isn't something which happens to you. It's something you actively do. You change your belief that pornography is your only choice by doing one thing: introducing a variable to the craving. So the truth is, you may still relapse, but now your subconscious mind is aware of that second choice. And while this might bring up some negative feelings, it's absolutely fine. It's okay to feel some guilt and have a second choice than to feel that way and not have any option. That's what brings up the strong emotion of hopelessness. I would much rather you feel a little bit of guilt, which is temporary, than to feel you don't have an option and then feel that you are damaged as a human being and experience shame and hopelessness. So again, it's the not having an option which leads to that feeling of lack of control and hopelessness. I hope this helped bring some clarity to the idea of what craving is.